What's good, Raider Nation? Welcome to the Spicy Shield Talk. The Raiders finished last season with a 4-13 record, failing to make the playoffs for the third consecutive year. Will they have a turnaround season in 2025 with the new leadership, the coaching, and the promising draft picks? And the power ratings just might surprise you. Welcome to the show, Raider Nation. I'm Spicy Raider Girl, and I'm here with my boy Chris from Protect the Shield. Welcome to the Spicy Shield Talk. Remember, light that torch, hit that like button, subscribe, and join to become a member. So we are going to be talking about the Raiders 2025 season, and if we're drinking the Kool-Aid or not. They've made some improvements at coaching. They've made some what we consider good draft picks. It's seeming like they have a plan for this season. Pete Carroll is looking good out there on the field. All things are kind of coming into alignment, so it seems. Are we hopeful for a playoff season, Chris, or are we just drinking the Kool-Aid again?
You know, first of all, it's lovely sharing the screen with you once again. But, I think that we drink the Kool-Aid way too much, and I'm not doing it this year. I'm not. Okay. I've done it last year. I did it the last 10 years, the last 20 years. No, I'm not expecting playoffs.
Okay.
I'm not expecting double-digit wins. I expect the team is going to be competitive. We're going to fight. But I would love if we're in the playoffs, but I don't think we close the gap enough from a talent standpoint. So that's just where I'm at.
Okay. So you still think the Raiders, are you saying you still think the Raiders are the worst in the AFC West?
No, I don't think we're the worst. I still think that the Denver Broncos, I think they were a fluke last year.
Okay.
I think their quarterback's going to have a sophomore slump. I don't believe in them. I think Pete's going to help us, get back to beating up on them twice a year. But we still got quite a ways to still be able to really compete with KC. At least be able to be competitive. Consistently. Chargers. I think we can split with them, but we still got a ways to go just throughout the whole NFL.
Yeah, I've said year after year that the Raiders are always on a competition for third place.
Right. It seems like
every year for the past at least 3 years, I think I've been saying that. And I don't know if my stance has changed a lot. I think it's changed a little. I think they are going to be more competitive this year.
Yeah.
So they are going to give those other AFC West teams a run for their money. They're going to be a little more competitive. I think you can maybe even say I'll go as far as saying they might be in the running for second or third, not third or fourth. So I think we have bumped up a little bit there.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. The division goes through the Chiefs until proven otherwise. But I will say, the Chargers, they had a pretty good draft. Harbaugh, I thought our chance was to really put a beating on him last year while he was still trying to get his foundation together. But he ended up, doing pretty decent, you know, in that first year. So I'm hoping that Pete can have a similar type of rebuilding with us to make it fairly quickly.
Yeah, it seems like from all reports I've read and from what I've seen coming out of camp and other places that they're really taking to Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll is really bringing that kind of interesting use of phrase, I think, is the culture the Raiders have been looking for, which I thought was an interesting use of phrase, because we all kind of I say you and I kind of drank the Kool-Aid on the AP culture thing, right? We thought that was going to be, oh, by the way, yes, Mother Moon is behind the scenes, y'all. Sorry, I forgot Mother Moon. We got right into it.
I ain't forget about you, girl. I ain't forget about
you know. She's gonna I did. I'm sorry. Chris did not. We're gonna get into some agree and disagree with Mother Moon a little bit later. But
I came alive there for a minute when she talked about drinking the Kool-Aid, because I was drinking it full gallons last year.
Right? We all thought we were gonna put on our Air Force One, stick a cigar in our mouth, and we were gonna get back to the Raider Nation that we knew. So I digress. But yeah, the using of the word, the Pete Carroll of all people are bringing back the Raiders culture when we thought so heavily that AP would. Maybe we're thinking culture is a different in a way, right? We're thinking culture as like the fans enjoying the stadium and things of that. And maybe the culture that people are speaking of now is, just win, baby. Winning.
Just win. Yeah.
Imagine that.
Yeah, that's so true. That's so true. And the thing is, I love AP. Like, regardless of what happened, I still love the culture that he was bringing. You know, he just didn't have a chance. You know, me and you talk about it all the time. You know, we don't give coaches a chance, really. You know, you give coaches these little pipsqueaks as quarterbacks, like little dweebs. You know, like, give him a real quarterback, give him a chance. But you know, regardless, you know, I think everyone seems to be kind of gravitating towards Pete. He's a known winner. He's a guy that the locker rooms always love him. So, you know, I'm with it, man. I'm with it.
Well, let's see. Let's start with a little bit of the post-free agency ranking before we get into the complete power rankings here and see what they're saying. I think, is this source courtesy of ESPN, Chris?
Yeah. Yep. So just taking a look at this. This is so it's a post-free agency power ranking. So they got us at 26. Which I think about this time last year, I think we were probably at like 30th or maybe 31st or something.
Okay. So a little improvement.
Yeah. So
I'll take it.
Yeah. And you know, and I think the biggest thing, I mean, it's pretty obvious, is like our most important position, or I'm sorry, our most improved position, of course, is our quarterback. You know, we had those jive turkeys, Booger eating Gardner, and that's, you know, and I wanted Gardner to do well, but it didn't work out.
We all did. When they signed him, I could not believe it.
Yeah, AOC, you know, again, I know he's kind of a fan favorite to some people. Seemed like a good guy, but he's just not a starting level quarterback that can compete, you know, consistently with, you know, the quarterbacks in our division. And Desmond Ridder, you
solid
know,
backup in my opinion. Solid backup.
Yeah,
I think people don't give enough credit.
Yeah,
for that
solid backup. You know, he might have a long career as a backup. Seems like he's pretty good in the locker room, but you know, he's not a guy that you want throwing the ball downfield 40 times. So, but yeah. So,
and also to that point, I think it's good to have. I think he would be. Aiden O'Connell would be perfectly happy being a career backup quarterback, and I don't think that's a bad thing to have. You know, we don't want someone that's going to be wanting that number one position. I think he'll be comfortable there. There was rumors that were saying the reason why Pete Carroll didn't go for Shedeur Sanders is because he didn't want Geno Smith to be looking over his shoulder and thinking Shedeur could come and take his job. He didn't want that kind of controversy or that sort of competition. He wants healthy competition, but not in that way. He wanted Geno to feel secure in his role as QB1. So I think AOC is a perfect backup, and I think he mentally would fit well with that role.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I believe that in Pete, just because, I mean, he's all about, you know, giving the best guy an opportunity. I mean, that's how Russell Wilson got his chance. I mean, when Russell Wilson was drafted, he wasn't necessarily drafted to be the guy. You know, Russell Wilson was drafted in, I think, 3rd round, and you know, they already had their starter in place, and Russell came in there and earned his spot, and Pete gave him that opportunity. So, but I get what you're saying, because Gino is our guy. But yeah, I think with Sanders, it just comes a whole different type of circus that comes along with that, whether it's good, bad, or his fault or not his fault. It's just we're the Raiders. We already have enough of a circus anyway, so it makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense. So
obviously this is an upgrade. I think that goes without saying. We're happy, I think, to have any quarterback back there besides these three guys.
For sure. And looking at that, the teams that are under us, we got the Giants are the 32nd team, the Tennessee Titans 31st, New York Jets 30th, the Cleveland Browns are 29th, the Saints are 28th. Carolina's 27th, and then it's us at 26th. So, So I mean, honestly, we just gotta keep getting better. Like I said, I'm not expecting, a miracle, but I just want to keep getting better.
I'm actually a little bit surprised. Okay, I'm not going to sit here and say like I'm drinking the Kool-Aid and I think that this team's going to make a run to the Super Bowl in the 25 season. However, with the power rankings being somewhere in between 26, 28, something like that, depending on which news source you look at, I'm a little shocked, to be honest. I thought they were going to be
Where do you think we'll be? Where do you think they'll
like
be?
you just said, right. You just said, I think last year you remember them being at 30 or something like that.
Yeah, it was something crazy. Yeah.
So to only move up, if you're looking at from 30 to 28, that's only 2 bumps higher when you've got this new coach, and obviously the quarterback situation has improved immensely. So just those 2 things alone, obviously to go with a new GM, a new assistant GM, newly kind of reconstructed Mad Max contract, and what people are calling one of the Raiders' best draft picks of the past, I don't know, decade maybe, at an A- B+, again depending on the news source you're looking at. So to bump up with the first year kind of interim head coach in a sense, I know AP wasn't, but in a sense it was like on trial, if you will, or you kind of gotta like earn your keep. With a quarterback like Minshew and AOC and Desmond Ridder, I think that's more of a bump than 2.
No, that's a real solid point. That's a solid point, because
you thinking like top 25, 20?
Yeah, because because last year we had the worst running game, and then what do? We went out and drafted the best running back. So like a lot of those spots that we really needed to get better at, we got better. So and plus we got hurt last year. Like, if we didn't have those injuries, we probably wouldn't have been that bad. So you could be right. I mean, your Kool-Aid might be on to something. I'm just not drinking it, Spice.
I don't go that far.
I'm not drinking it.
Hey, I'm not saying, again, I'm not saying Super Bowl run, but I think the Raiders improved more than 2 spots.
No, that's fair though. That really, when you think about it, it's fair, but I don't know, man. I'm like a battered kid, man. I'm just, they got to prove me otherwise.
Fair enough. Well, I think we can all agree. Well, I don't know. Maybe we can all agree. Tell me what everyone thinks. I mean, are we going to win more than 4 games? I would like to think that I'm at least sipping the Kool-Aid, thinking that they're going to win more than 4 games.
That's true. Well, I think it's either we agree or disagree.
It's time. Why don't we just start with that one, Mother Moon?
Like that segue?
Like it.
I like it.
So let's start with that one.
Okay. Let's go with it. What we have here is a little game we're going to do, and it's called Agreed or Disagree. Simple statements, and you just tell us if you agree or disagree. Okay, so the first statement, there you go. Laminated or not, you're in the game. Okay, so do you agree or disagree that the Raiders will make the playoffs this year?
I thought we're starting with winning more than 4 games.
Oh, yeah, well, there's that one. Will the Raiders win more than 4 games? Do you agree or disagree on that? I totally agree on this.
I'm sipping the Kool-Aid.
I am too.
I'm sipping the Kool-Aid.
Well, that's not really Kool-Aid. That's like, that's not even Kool-Aid. That's like new, or what's that? What's that other drink that just was nasty? Nutrilite or something?
Pedialyte?
No, not
We're
Pedialyte. But
gonna
what's
need
the other? It was
Pedialyte
like
after all the drinking we might have to do after these losses. We're not
that
need
is
some
true.
Pedialyte the next day.
That is true. That is true. They make me have to drink
I
Pedialyte
think
the
we
next
have to
morning.
do more than
All
4.
right,
So
we're winning more than
in.
4.
We're in. We
All
are.
right,
we
what's
are.
next,
Got
Mother
to.
Moon?
Okay, we'll
Got
go
to.
with number 2. Now let's play. Okay, the Raiders will make the playoffs this year. Well, if we all think they're going to win more than 4.
Let's see how much Kool-Aid you got, Spice. How much Kool-Aid you
Let's
got?
see.
Ooh.
Oh,
I'm
there you
gonna
go.
say as a wild card.
Well, you agree. Okay.
As a
then
wild
just-
card. Squibbin in the hunt. We're gonna see those in the hunt graphics the last
In the
4
hunt?
games of the season. We're gonna be in the hunt and we're gonna squib in and get that wild card spot.
So we're gonna have a little slow start.
I
Chris,
always hate seeing us in the hunt. It's like
I know.
It's like
Well,
whatever.
remember the McGlowan years, and it was like they had like 6 wins, and they were still technically like
it's like everyone else has to lose. Like
yeah. All the
like,
scenarios
whatever.
have to happen.
Right.
Okay, next. Agree or disagree? The Raiders will have a top 10 defense.
Ooh,
Will
wow.
they have a top 10?
In
I'm
Max,
gonna have to say
trust.
agree. Yes, in Max we trust, and also if either of those other two things I agreed on are going to happen, this is gonna. I have to agree.
It has to happen. Yeah.
It has to happen. Yeah.
It all has to fall in line.
I can't disagree on this one if I think the other
That's
two
true.
are going to happen. So especially the last one.
Okay.
You seem like a Kool-Aid
Okay,
drinker.
next
There's a lot of agrees over there, Miss Kool-Aid.
I know, right?
I know. See, look at we're making the playoffs.
Maybe as a wild card.
Okay.
Let's not get too excited.
Okay, next one. Next statement. Do you agree or disagree that Ashton Jeanty will be the offensive rookie of the year?
Ooh.
I think
That's hard to agree or disagree with because it's gonna be.
Do you hope so?
Well, I hope so, but I just think there's so much
Okay.
talent. Are they gonna give it to a running back? They're gonna give it to Cam Newton. Okay, disagree.
Okay. I say Chris had his disagree right away.
Yeah,
Understand why.
Who do you think would get it though? Just off the top of your head, if you have someone in mind.
it's hard for a running back to get it, man. So I
Yeah.
could see Cam Ward getting an opportunity or
Oh, did I say Cam Newton? I meant Cam Ward.
yeah, you saying Cam Newton. Yeah. I can see Cam Ward or even what's the name at the Saints? Who went to the Saints?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I can't remember if it was Jackson Dart or not. No, I wasn't, but yeah, maybe Jackson Dart, wherever he went. But yeah, I can see one of the quarterbacks getting it, but it's tough for running backs to get it. So we'll see.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
he's going to have some exceptional year, but look at even Brock Bowers. Look, the exceptional year he had.
Right.
You know, people argue
Exactly.
he could have gotten it, but of course it went to the quarterback.
Right.
But he had an exceptional year too. So it's like,
Right.
you know, taking that team to the playoffs and everything.
Yeah, it's like that's what I'm saying. Like Brock had like a generational year for a rookie, you know what I'm saying? And he still didn't quarterbacks, they touch the ball every single play, so they have more chances to make an impact.
So let me ask you this, because I've heard this term breakout year several times now in reference to both, and then we'll get to the last one, Mother Moon, in reference to both Brock Bowers and Ashton Jeanty. Now, can Brock, so two-part question for you. Since Brock had such a great year, can he have a breakout year? Would you consider it a breakout year if he improves? And since Ashton Jeanty hasn't even had a full season, if he balls out, would that be considered a breakout year, or do you have to have something to measure it by?
Yeah, usually, at least the way when I say it, it's you kind of got to have a baseline to measure it by.
I think so too.
Yeah, because like Brock, Brock just kind of hit the scenes, I liked Brock coming out, but it's like no one really knew what to expect. So it's kind of with Jeanty. But now, like, Brock had a phenomenal year, but now imagine what he's about to do with a real quarterback. Like, that's why it's like you break out, like, oh, it can get crazy.
And a running back, and a running game.
Exactly. So, like, Brock could go crazy this year. He really can.
Yeah. And hopefully even improves in the wide receivers positions, which could really
Right.
open him up in the middle there
Right.
as well. So yeah, it'll
Right.
be exciting. It'll be fun to see this new offense.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
All right, the last
One
one.
last statement, and you could tell your own disagree or agree. Doesn't matter. There's no winner or loser because there's not a prize. But here we go. Lastly, Henry Ruggs should get another chance to play football. Do you agree or disagree with that statement?
I think this is probably a controversial agree or disagree, but I'm going to go with agree.
Okay.
And then Chris, we can both say why we think that. If you want to start, you can start.
Yeah, let's
but I'm
hear
going
it.
to go with I agree. Henry Ruggs should get a second chance to
like for me, man, I think that it's like exactly what he's doing now is he's being held accountable for his actions. I believe that people should get second chances. Of course, the lady and the dog that he killed, won't get a second chance. However, I think that everyone, deserves a chance to, be able to redeem themselves. And people are like, oh, he shouldn't be able to play football, make him do something else. But like, this is his job. So like when anyone else comes out of the, the corrections facility and that whole program, like, they got to get back to work. And that's what his work is, being a football player. So, I think he should get an opportunity. Some teams are going to shy away from it, and I understand that and I respect it. I just feel like people should get second chances for the most part. I mean, there may be some things that are just too egregious that it's tough to forgive, but something like that, I think he's kind of paying his debt as best as he can, and I think he should get the opportunity.
Yeah, I'll pretty much echo that, Chris. That's kind of my thought. So at first, just emotionally, I want to say no, right? Because as you said, Tina Tintor was her name, the woman that he killed in the DUI high speed wreckage. She's not going to get a second chance at life. Right. She's not going to get a second chance at anything. So emotionally, I want to say, okay, well then why should he? But if you think about it, if we really believe in the justice system and he's serving the time that he was sentenced and he does that and he comes out and like you said, he has the accountability and things of that nature, everyone who comes out of that situation needs to be able to be able to provide a living for themselves and their family. Exactly. And this is his profession. Exactly. So I think with that statement alone, you kind of have to say yes. Otherwise, you're just going to say, oh, because he's a football player and that's a glamorous, a luxurious, a high-paying position, do we punish him in that way? Because anybody else that would come out, you wouldn't say, oh, well, he can't go do X, Y, Z, whatever the job is.
Yeah, he can't be,
right?
Exactly.
We have to say, then what's the point of the sentencing and being let out and all of that? So exactly. That's really the bottom line for me and the decision maker. But yeah, it is sad that, the young woman, Tina Tintor, isn't going to get a second chance the way he is. And I'm sure it's going to be hard for, if he does, go back into football and he gets a big contract or something. And hopefully he'll just pay it back somehow or pay it forward somehow. Yeah. So it says its earliest parole eligibility is August 5th of 2026. So that's just over a year away. So he's 26 right now, I think. He'll be 27. Probably, I'm sure he's doing his best to stay in shape in prison the best that he can. And we'll see, like you said, also, will teams give him that chance? Some probably will shy away from it. I'll go a little further, though, and ask you, do you think the Raiders should give him that chance?
That's tough because it's so close to home.
Yeah,
that's tough. But then again, it's like, yeah, it's close to home. But then you think about what the Raiders kind of stand for. Like Al Davis kind of stood for second chances. Like he was. We've always been the team that's given players that were outcasts at other places a home where they felt welcomed. And one thing that I keep hearing about Ruggs, like Josh Jacobs, you know, is very good friends with him. You know, like Ruggs is a guy that's like, he never got in trouble before. Like, he's not like a bad kid. He just made a bad decision. I know how I was when I was young like that. I made plenty bad decisions. I probably could have been in that same situation. You know, luckily I wasn't, but you know, and I think a lot of us have made dumb mistakes, and it's like, you don't want, you know, a certain mistake to dictate, you know, how you are for the rest of your life. But again, I know this is so serious, and it took someone's life, so it's hard to kind of say that. But you know, I still think the Raiders, Al Davis's Raiders could have done it, but you know, I don't think in this day and age, the way our climate is, I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, and I would actually, I hear you. I respect your opinion. I would like to disagree in the sense of, I think in any industry, if this particular industry is obviously football, but in any industry, you basically got fired from your job because you committed a criminal act, right? Even though you've paid your time, you have accountability. Say it's a CEO or something. When you're coming back from that, you're probably not going to go back to the same company. You're going to put your resume out there. You're going to say, hey, I'm available to work again. We'll see what other companies will want to take you as a CEO in this instance. But I don't think this company that you essentially got fired for because you weren't able to perform because of your criminal act isn't going to welcome you back. And nor should I don't think they should take the chance on it either. Kind of how we always talk about, like, there's already too many distractions with the Raiders.
Right.
Do we need this controversial headline? Would we need this controversial headline to overshadow, hopefully, would be another productive year in terms of climbing up those power rankings as we talked about?
Right. No, I mean, you're right. I like I said, I can see both ways. I just think of the Raiders of kind of who Al wanted us to kind of be, you know, taking in Outcast. But you're right, with the issue starting here at home, you know, there's sometimes you just can't take it. So it's a good point.
And even though we agree with the fact that he deserves a second chance in football, maybe a lot of the fan base wouldn't. And then do we need that also sort of negativity of having the fans feel some sort of way about it, or the city? I mean, imagine how the city could feel about it. The city it doesn't really welcome the Raiders anyway, as it is. And to have problems like that immediately within a new community, I don't think they would really welcome it back. It's not going to do the Raiders any favors in drawing in a much needed hometown fan base.
Right. Yeah, that'll turn them off immediately. That's a good point.
So,
yeah, with all that said, I agree with both of you, but you know, you do your time. We do call it rehabilitation. That is what he knows is football. If he does come out and have an opportunity to play football, maybe it's not playing football, but it is in the football organization somehow. And then again, definitely paying it forward to helping families that maybe have lost someone, or, you know, in a drunk, something to pay it forward, I think would help his image as well.
Yeah, I think that would be a necessity.
There's so many factors in this, but tough decision for him.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Yep. All right. Well, we're doing a quick show tonight, everybody. So thanks for tuning in. Make sure if you haven't already, light that torch, hit that like button on both of our channels, on both For Life or Raiders Story and I have to say the Spicy Shield Talk and Protect the Shield. This is the Spicy Shield Talk. Catch us next Wednesday, same time, 6 p.m., where we're going to go over the schedule, release, and our predictions. So we'll see. It'll be interesting, Chris. We'll see what your predictions are, since I'm already bumping up from 4. Low bar, I know, low bar, right? All right, everybody. Well, thanks for tuning in. And you know, Raider Nation, we go out one way and only one way.
Raiders!